Welcome everybody to Ops Experts Club. That means it's Thursday at 10 a.m. here in the Collab Team West Coast people style. Sorry, Savannah, I know you are a little bit different than that time, but it's okay. We're still on the same planet.
We are.
Appreciate
As
you.
far as we know.
That's true. That's true.
I moved to the moon. I got sick of the snow. Wanted a different kind of cold.
I could just be an AI simulation.
You
Ooh.
could be.
I like to think one of us is astral projecting. Not sure which one of us that might be.
I
can
space
see you
out a
being
lot.
an
Does that
astral
count?
Well, fun days. Happy to be here with you all. Good to see you again this week. Last week we had a awesome call with Dan Tao, which turns out Savannah knows a little more personally than I realized. So that was fun to find out. I knew you lived nearby each other. I thought that was just coincidence.
We've even eaten ice cream together, and I have pet his dog. He has a very sweet dog.
Wow.
That's cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, I learned something new then too this last week, but it was fun to hear from him on his heart behind what he does. It's hard calling people asking for money. So if you can do anything you can to switch your framework, your mindset that helps you call people and ask for money, then you're that much more successful than the next person. So I really like hearing that about him.
It's not exactly, like you said, it's an easy arm of the business. It's a necessary arm, but it's definitely not the easiest. Because nobody wants to be, the bad guy, which, in a sense, most people, when you call them asking for money, are like, oh God, this guy. I think Dan probably encapsulates the doing it with grace probably the best out of anybody I know.
Yeah, I like that. And it's a hard job to fill. Like there's always an opening. Nobody wants that job. People will call customers just about their problems, about getting them help. But as soon as you say like, oh, you're going to take this list of people whose payment fails, who promised us money, and you're going to call them and ask them, where's the money? They're like, nope. So that's why it's always good to, in that sort of position, have a little bit of incentive, a 1% commission on retained money that you're doing for your company. Might sound like a small amount, but it adds up quickly if that's your job and you have a goal of 1% of all the money you're retaining. That's a pretty good incentive to keep people doing their job.
And some of these clients too are, they're selling bigger ticket items. So the things that they're having collections call on might be a $5,000, $10,000 program. So that, that's nothing to sniff at.
And 1% honestly is a lot less than what you're going to pay for. I mean, there's a reason why all those collection companies exist, right? Like we have a lot of clients who work with Gravy, who use other sort of third party or outside collection type agencies because nobody wants to do it. But like they're gonna take a big chunk, and they know that nobody wants to do it. That's why they'll say, yeah, we will retain your sale, but we keep half or 40%, because they know it's just that side of finance that nobody wants to do. It's kind of like the ugly underbelly, so they can charge out the yin yang for it. But if you do have somebody like a Dan Tao, who's actually on your team and can do it, it's so much better than having to go like outside, especially because you can't, when you go with those third parties, like you have no control over how they represent your culture, how they represent your brand. Yeah, they say they're going to represent your brand well, but like not well like a Dan Tao giving you a personal phone call and say, hey, how can we work this out? It's a lot better to do it that way than some cold third party going, hey, you owe us money, give it now or we take you to collections.
Yeah, they probably have no idea what's on the visionary's heart for the programming in the first place. So they're not going to be the best people suited to ask him the questions like Dan will ask, like, what brought you here in the first place? What made you invest in this in the first place? What's your long-term goals? Like they're there to get the money. They're not there to reinforce the vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, I mean, to be fair, like depending on the product you're selling, that might work. Like if you're selling, if you're an online auto parts store, like you're not really that worried about like how your customer perceives their end goals and what their life is doing. But if you're selling informational product or or anything else, yeah, that's super important. So like, I feel like, especially in the space of information products and the sort of line of industry that we're in, where a lot of these companies are also cultivating Facebook groups, they're cultivating like communities. That's really important to have that sort of collections arm that isn't just a cold phone call, but is somebody who's actually a part of the community, knows about the product. Like, what was the goal, like you said, of buying this product? Was it to learn something? So I think depending on your industry, it really affects what you're going to do with that collections process.
That's a great point, because everything in a lot of the clients that we service, like their products are like abstract, right? Because it's like it's education. So yeah, it's hard to I don't want to say enforce, but it's, it's like, it's hard to put the value on it because it's not necessarily concrete. It's it's the idea of the value and the execution. So
yeah, it's a lot different when you're dealing with a physical product and somebody didn't pay for it versus like a life goal that somebody didn't pay for it. So that's really weird to try and figure that out.
Yeah. And it's fun to see too, the different options of, we're talking about having somebody follow up on payment plans for customers paying payment plans. What about the other option of, we've all seen it when we're shopping online now, you can click and say, I want to pay with Affirm, which is they're going to front the money to this company and I'm going to pay Affirm 4 different payments. Because I know I can afford this over 4 payments, maybe not over 1. And you're seeing that everywhere, lots of different types of companies, Afterpay, Clear. Stripe has their own integration you can turn on. So if you're using a Stripe hosted checkout form, they'll connect to Afterpay so that people can select this other payment option that another company is now managing the payments of, and it's up to them. So your company is getting paid fully for it. Another company is doing it and you don't have to worry about it. And it also brings up like somebody else we could have on this call, maybe in the future, like financing, when you're working with a financing partner and you've now outsourced financing somebody else, they're financing your big deal. They're worrying about it and you're getting paid up front and you get to still deliver to the customer because they can still have all your stuff. You don't really care. You got your money. They're paying that guy over there. That'd be fun.
What was the GoFundMe was one that we've worked with for a bit. Not GoFundMe. What am I saying? GoFundMe.
I was like, whoa, really?
What's the credit?
Fund My Contract?
Fund My Contract. Yes, that's what I was trying to think of. GoFundMe. It was in there somewhere.
And 7 figures funding.
7, yeah. No, Fund My Contract. That's what we've worked with, and they work really nicely. Like they have their fees that they're going to tack on because they want to make money as a company, but they do work really well in sort of getting that product into your customer's hands who maybe needs like, a 60 month payment plan or a 72-month payment plan, especially if you're selling a high ticket item. Financing is, I'm not one to always advocate for, credit and debt, but it does offer really good options for you if you're selling a high ticket item.
Yep. And like, yeah, they have fees, but if you're only expecting to collect 50-60% of people on payment plans over the life of that purchase, if you pay a 15% fee, you're now collecting 85% of all that stuff. So that's you're already in the positive there.
Which I feel like brings us full circle back to Dan Tao and having a retention specialist. Like without that person, say, maybe 60% of your payment plans fall off after the 3rd payment. Like, is it worth even like retaining 20% more of those by hiring somebody internally or going with a retention company? I would say absolutely, especially if those payment plans are 12-month payment plans or 9-month payment plans. Like, you could be missing out on 9 payments over the course of a year, just not having a retention specialist.
Yep. And of course, we've set up those automations, the emails people get, the reminders, the failed payment notices, but you can't automate a phone call from a person there to talk to them. It's real easy to ignore these emails, but you do get a lot more success with these phone calls. People will answer, they will talk to a person. It's a lot harder to delete you on the phone.
I think that's just called hanging up.
You can do that?
Mm.
Well, that's fun. I'm really glad we got to talk to Dan Tao. But we've got a few other topics to discuss for you all this week. Switching gears here a little bit, as they say sometimes, or switching tracks, as they also say sometimes. Something that's been on our minds a lot lately, as it's something we use weekly. Sometimes I'm logging into these applications daily for different people. That's landing pages. What do we got going on? What's out there? What are we building on? What should we be building on? What's the difference with building on some of these? I know, Ben, you're going to start us off with a popular one here, one that I could safely say every client I've worked with has an account for. And maybe the pros of it, and maybe the areas where you shouldn't be using it. So, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so I'm going to take us into the world of ClickFunnels. Da, 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 da. Yes,
Wow.
every single client has used this or used it in the past, or maybe started here or is still here. It is kind of odd to me that it's like the number one name brand out there when you think of like building easy to build landing pages. Probably, I mean, has it been around the longest? Maybe that's why.
Yeah, their style of it was
OG. Yeah,
OGs of the funnel.
But I just want to start off with a quick pricing just to get the nitty gritty out of the way. I wish this Zoom bar would go away. That's so annoying. With ClickFunnels, you have basic, pro, and funnel hacker. Obviously, this is going to be like your enterprise type version. Most small companies will start with basic, and they'll probably upgrade to pro at some point. And you can see the different breakdowns of what you get here. If you just need one landing page, you're selling one product, you just need a landing page that's easy to edit, and you want to add some contacts, and you want to be able to host that. Basics all you really need. Once you start going on past that one product, now you're offering multiple products. Maybe you're offering multiple courses for a product. That's where you kick it up to pro, and you can just see the increase here and the difference between basic. But pro also opens up affiliate program stuff, which is okay. It's okay.
it exists.
But getting into ClickFunnels, so we host, of course, the Collab team. We host our landing page our main landing page on ClickFunnels. Looks great. Some great people in our team have edited and made this page look pretty. One of those being Savannah. Thank you, Savannah. And it's a really easy way just to make a good looking landing page without having to go through all the hoops of maybe hiring a web designer or a dev or anything like that. Like if you want to just get up and running quick, ClickFunnels is great for that. And what this actually looks on the backside inside ClickFunnels is in the editing process. It's just a real simple drag and drop kind of makeup. I mean, they've made this easier than editing your MySpace profile back in the day. If you all did that, we all had those hidden music players that nobody could ever pause when they got to our profiles, right? You're gonna listen to my music and love it. And in ClickFunnels, it's easier than that by just adding sections, adding rows, adding new elements. We can add headlines. They have built-in video plugin where you can just plug in a YouTube link, a Vimeo link, an image, a video pop-up. So it's pretty self-contained in what you can do. The pro of this is that it's extremely easy. Like it's literally just drag and drop. The con of that though is outside of these elements, you don't really have a lot of customization outside of maybe a custom HTML link. So it's not like where a web designer could come in and start pulling apart code and start designing really intricately. This is meant to be sort of the intro to building a website 101. It's the basics. It's simple, but like I said, it gets you up and running really quickly. You can drop order forms. You can drop opt-ins. It's a really easy way to collect emails, start growing a list, and sell a product at the same time, which is just about every one of our clients uses it or has used it. The pros, like I said, super easy, quick. You can get up and going probably in a couple hours. The cons are really more of the features outside of that, building that funnel. Affiliate program is at best. For example, if you ever try to export a payments report from ClickFunnels, good chance you'll be there for 3 hours because it just doesn't want to. And you'll close and sign out and sign back in and refresh the page, and that little spinning wheel of loading will just never load your report, and you'll come back a day later and it'll decide to do that. So the affiliate side is, I say it's use it if you don't want to use any other tool. There are much better tools out there. Use it if you have 1 affiliate, 2 affiliates. If you have more than 10 affiliates, I would start looking elsewhere. Same with their email marketing, and they're basically the CRM side of ClickFunnels is you're gonna get meh. They're primarily focused on at least where they started was building a landing page, building something that looked good, quickly, and easily. They're not, the CRM side is sort of like an add-on. I think that they probably added to try and add value, but it's not really as focused as the landing page building. But I highly encourage new business owners, new people trying to sell a new product, whether it's informational or a physical product. If you need a easy website builder and you want it up fast, you want to get going, ClickFunnels is really the way to go for that.
And while it's expensive, and I know that like we just talked about, the features are sort of meh, but it does have all those features built in. So I feel like, I mean, that's kind of why it is as expensive as it is. And so if you are just like trying to just get going and just like don't want to figure out what CRM you're using, what email platform you're using, like all the other pieces, if you just want to like jump in, then it's kind of good for that. I would also say on the designing part of it with the code, that's also kind of a nice thing about it being the main one that like all entrepreneurs use for the most part, is that it's really easy to just Google a feature that you want to include on there and just be like, what's the code for this? And someone's made a YouTube on it. Someone's made a Reddit post about it. There's Facebook groups for it. It's all free information. And then you can just copy and paste and play, duplicate first, and play before you save. But I think in our collab site, I've been able to put like 3 different blocks in that are like kind of something custom-y that we wanted to do, that it was just like, I'm sure that's on the internet and you can just Google it and find it and customize.
Yeah, that is the pro of working with the sort of jack of all trades platform, is since, like you said, everybody's using it. There's a wealth of knowledge out there, because it can still be like, it's an easier platform to get up and going on, but if you're not tech savvy at all, you've never done anything like this, then it can be a bit confusing. And it's nice that you can go to YouTube. Yeah, there's thousands of videos on how to build the world's best ClickFunnel in ClickFunnels.
I would also say another con with ClickFunnels is because it's probably, a visionary just jumping into something when they first are starting with ClickFunnels. And because so much of it is accessible and kind of easy to drag and drop, I feel like you can kind of get a little bit of like kitchen sink syndrome with your landing page. And like we've all admitted in collab that that's kind of what our website is struggling with right now, because there's so many features and you want everyone to know all the things that you do, and because you can. And so I would just advise to reel it back, or have someone else double checking your site, like someone who is more design vision based, even if you're not hiring a designer, if you have just like some buddies that can look over it for you, because it can just get really busy really fast. And then people don't really want to hang out there because it's like too much.
Yeah.
Has anybody looked up, you could probably hire a Fiverr person, right, to build a funnel for you? I'm sure that's
I'd be shocked if you couldn't. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so there's always that option too.
I mean, I really like ClickFunnels. What I can do is I can go in there and I can have a landing page done in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Like somebody's like, we got to launch this now. We need a link to get out there, launching ads. We need to put in an email. We just need to take opt-ins. We need to name an email. It's like, all right, I can give you something in 15 minutes. It might not be perfect, but in 15 minutes, we can be taking names and emails. We can have them in our CRM. We can be sending follow-up emails. We can be selling. It's they just make it really simple to do something quickly. And as we know with our clients, speed is important.
This is true.
But another thing I want to bring up here is half of all the people with MySpaces back in the day also had their own WordPress blog. So this would be one of the more original sites that you might recognize that has grown a lot since then. The thing I know WordPress about is website builder with unlimited plugins. You can do whatever you want in here. And what we've used it a lot for is membership sites. Membership sites that connect to our CRMs to give people access to courses. You can sell things through here. You can plug into WooCommerce. You can have plugged into Stripe, PayPal. You can plug in whatever you want. Some of them are free, some of them cost money. But at this point, you are building something a lot more custom to you. And like I said, the amount of plugins out there, it's endless what you can do in WordPress. I mean, oof. You guys ever been in WordPress?
Not and to the extent of adding plugins. I didn't know that they had so much that you can plug into it.
I spent a little bit of time in the backside of Pedro Rodeo's like courses and stuff in there, and there was the Membarium, and I don't even remember. There was a way that they were like tracking all of their students, and then it like talked to the CRM and everything, and then it was complicated but cool.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. Yeah, we recommend it all the time for membership sites just because it plugs in to where you're at. It's got course interface pages, it's got login pages, it's got upsells, downsells, settings, contact profiles. But then you've also got people who are just building websites on it. You can build, there's WooFunnels as a plugin where you can build funnels in here, connect them to WooCommerce, and you're making sales in here. And I'm sure there's even a CRM integration where you can probably just have just a WordPress account and then just plugins doing everything else for you and have your whole business functioning in here.
So would you say this is the like 201 or 301 course for landing pages, basically like the next step up in learning from ClickFunnels?
I mean, it's definitely nobody I know really uses it outside of the membership site. So I'm not sure where exactly it fits in or who you'd gear this to. Obviously it's cheap. So I think it's really on that thrifty DIY. Like I can just do anything myself, put it together.
Gotcha.
Market.
There, so that was actually what we used when I worked at the nonprofit art gallery. And I will say, like, you can do a lot with it if you know how to do coding and stuff. You can like really customize. So the problem with that is, of course, that we then hired like a web designer, and then the web designer was a very fiery personality, and they had kind of a shaky relationship with said web designer, and said web designer just like started ghosting them and wouldn't respond when they needed things updated and fixed. And no one on staff knew what he did. And then we even brought in another designer, and they couldn't figure out exactly what they did. So we just had to scrap the website and just like go with something else. And so that's tough. And then another part of it is that I think we had like two different like kind of security things set up with it. Our website still got hacked 3 times in the time that I worked there, with like Viagra links and like inappropriate things that I'm then having to go through because we had like hundreds of pages because we had a feature for every artist that we featured. And so there were like bad links on every single page. So I spent like 2 weeks at a time having to like go through and clean out the pages of all of the like nasty links and things put in there because people have too much time on their hands and hack a nonprofit art gallery's website that just is trying to help little old ladies sell their crochet, So
I will say with that, like you mentioned, if you do have a lot of plugins, the issue is all these plugins are constantly updating, as well as WordPress is updating, and a lot of times they're not in sync with each other. So it's like you update your WordPress site, well, this plugin wasn't updated yet, so now that plugin failed. And this whole section of your website doesn't work anymore because that plugin doesn't work with the new version of WordPress. And so you do end up in this little circle of, oh my gosh, everybody just update at the same time.
We spent a lot of time fighting with our website with WordPress. So like it looked really nice, but there were definitely some buggy things that just made it so it just didn't financially make sense for a nonprofit to be constantly trying to like chase those loose ends and paying people to do it for them. So
Yeah. So moral of the story is have a tech team in place who knows what they're doing inside WordPress before you start just being like, I'm going to build out my entire company's worth of product suite in a WordPress, and then you have no idea what you're doing.
yeah, we're just going to trust a third party to do this for us and then not know what in the world to do if they walk away. So
Yeah, that's fair.
don't do that.
So Savannah, what do you got for us?
Well, let me make sure I have my right windows up here. I brought in Wix and Squarespace and a little bit talking about Weebly.
Weebly.
Except for that Weebly's not loading for me. I tried to set up a trial, so I think that we're not going to get to play with Weebly, but I can still talk a little bit about it. So let me share. Okay, so this is Wix. And so this is one that we're actually doing right now for a client, for an artist, kind of an artist portfolio that also is taking bookings for tours. So things I don't like about Wix is that I just feel like it's so it is so busy to work in. Like it's pretty simple, but like there's so many options and they just stack them all on top of each other. Like your menus are just on it. I don't know, like it gives me some kind of like panic attack when I'm looking at everything because it's just like I feel like it's not super well organized, but and it's not really drag and drop, but you can edit things from a template, and they have a lot of templates to choose from that are free, so that's always nice. And then you can kind of quick edit things as you click on it. But even like the term, it's just not super intuitive. Like you would think you go to manage slides and that would give you the option to like change your pictures and stuff that you're using, but that's not it. You're just changing the order, or you can add a new one. If you want to change what it looks like, then you have to change slide background. And it's like that on every page. There's just something that's like the wording that they use just isn't super intuitive. So you have to kind of click around a lot to kind of figure out where you are and what you're doing. But they do give you a lot of plugins also. So you go to add apps, and is that where I wanted to be? So you can add like e-commerce things, and then there was a spot that was really easy for adding. Yeah. So they have like their own booking setup, their own events set up. So you can just put that all like built in and you're not having to figure out how to integrate a third party program. So that is ultimately why this artist picked that, because they wanted to set up tours where someone could schedule a tour with them and they could take them around. They could take payment right on their website for the tour and then just have it all scheduled for them. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And it's not super expensive. Which I'll get to. I have some pricing windows up that we could look at in a second. But then the other one that I want to talk about is Squarespace, which is my favorite one.
Mhm.
That one, they also just recently instituted a scheduling thing. They're trying to kind of branch into like, I think they're trying to market more towards like spas and like those kind of things, like setting up appointments.
Yep.
But Squarespace to me reminds me a lot of ClickFunnels, where it's a lot of click and drag. So you just click that you want to edit the page and you can just kind of click and move things around. You can see even like the way that it's set up, it just looks a lot like ClickFunnels.
Mhm.
And then same thing, it's pretty popular. It's been around for a long time. So if there's a feature that's not available natively, you can look up the coding for it. You can just Google it and people have done it. So that's really easy. There's a ton of free templates to go off of. So you can kind of get a site up and running within 15 minutes. Just pick a template, make sure that your email's connected. Also, what I like about Squarespace is it was like super easy to just jump in because they're set up with Google domains and Google Workspace. So I was able to purchase my annual membership, set up my domain, and get Google Workspace with my custom email all in one swoop. I just signed for all of it up at once. Everything's done. I get my little $6 monthly charge from Google to have my custom email, and that's it. And it's not that expensive for I feel like what they give you. So that's really nice too. And of course you can have like a shop, e-commerce, you can link it with Stripe, all that good stuff. So Weebly, the reason that I want to talk about that is just because Square just bought Weebly. And so if you use Square as your point of sale, if you set up your Weebly site, it's automatically connected with all of your Square inventory. So you can sell things that you sell in your brick and mortar store on your website, and everything talks to each other and you don't have to worry about it. So you have all that built in, which I think is very cool. And I can't show you, but it's also pretty simple to work with. I think it's kind of similar to Wix, where I just feel like they're like a little bit clunkier. But if you're willing to put some time into making it pretty, then you can. But there's good functionality in there. And now we're running out of time. I just wanted to show the pricing really quick. So sorry, guys.
Fun fact, I made my wedding invitations on a Squarespace site and just gave everybody URLs.
Ooh.
Hey.
Living in the 21st century.
Wow.
And it was super easy.
Okay, so like we talked about, ClickFunnels is like the pricier one, but it's because you get like the whole suite of everything that you need to kind of kick off your business in one go. Squarespace, pretty inexpensive. $33 a month is the one that I use, so that you can sell products. You get basic analytics, which is cool. They'll tell you like how long your customers are hovering on each of your pages. You can see where they fell off. Like, so you can kind of see which of your pages, which I looked at my website and it just made me real sad because all of my pages are terrible. Anyway, so it gives you that built in with that, which is really nice. It's not that much more expensive to go up into commerce, and you get like a little bit more in there. You don't have to pay a transaction fee if you go into that. So if you're selling more, I don't sell barely anything. So this one made more sense. But if you're willing to pay just $3 more a month, then you don't have to pay 3% transaction fee. Wix, also not super expensive. Unless you want to get really crazy with it, then you're kind of in the same line of ClickFunnels, in which case I would recommend going to ClickFunnels instead. Just saying. And then Weebly, super inexpensive. And I think that if you use Square as your point of sale, I think that you even get like a better deal somewhere in there because of the way that they're put together. So there's that. Oh, and then WordPress, also very inexpensive.
Ooh,
love that.
So, I mean, we started talking about ClickFunnels. It makes it look expensive. If you just need a website, don't use ClickFunnels. I guess that's the most place.
Yeah, but
selling physical products, don't use ClickFunnels.
Do not recommend. But if you're just trying to jump in with a whole thing with software as a service, and you're going to be having courses and stuff, you can do all that in ClickFunnels. It's really like your one stop to just like jump in. So
I like it. Well, sweet. Thanks, everybody. That was fun to dive into. I'm sure I'm going to be logging into one of those sites here pretty soon as I start work. It's ClickFunnels, in case you're going to guess. I'll be logging into ClickFunnels.
Of course.
But this was fun. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you again next week.
Okay.
See ya.